Hi, I'm Amy, and today we're going to be looking at a famous piano riff from a Beyoncé song. This is the intro to her song Halo, and there's a lovely piano part that happens that I want to go over with you today. One of the reasons why I like this piano part, why I like teaching it to you, is because I think it really has a connection to classical piano music. I think there's a bridge that you can catch right away, even if you're not sure exactly what it is. In, let's say, the 1700s, Mozart piano sonatas from that time period, a lot of times your left hand would be doing something like this. You know, and you've probably heard something along those lines. Mozart, Haydn, even earlier than that. That left-hand pattern is called Alberti bass, and it takes a chord and breaks it up. Bottom, top, middle, top. So in this Beyoncé intro, she actually does something like that, but it's upside down. The right hand is playing a chord, so there's my chord shape, and it's broken up in a similar way to what composers were doing a couple hundred years ago. So I think that's cool. I'm sure Beyoncé, is stemming from some musical knowledge there too. Let me play through this for you, and then we'll go ahead and break it down a little bit. Here's the whole riff that we're going to learn. I'm sure you recognize that, right? So we're going to start by just doing some right hand first couple measures, and I'll go through that slowly with you now. So we're looking at the first two measures, right hand only. You'll see left hand is no big deal. We'll get to that at the end. Right hand is where we're doing a lot of those chord shapes, and I want to walk through that a little bit right now with you. The first one, A major chord. We're in the key of A major. We've got a few sharps that I'll point out for you. This first chord is thumb on E, 2 on A, 4 on C sharp. So that's already a little bit of a open hand shape, reaching up for that sharp at the top. I would start by just blocking that chord. Find where your fingers are supposed to be placed before you do any playing at all. Okay, and then the second thing that I would do is find out which notes are on the beats. So that means the first note of each group. In this first measure, it's actually really simple. I'm playing C sharp on beat 1, again on beat 2, 3, and 4. So in time, if I'm just kind of finding the beats, placing my hand, I could think da 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 2 2 2 2 3 da, 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 4. And in my mind, I'm kind of subdividing 1 E and a, 2 E and a, because that's where I'll place all the other notes. But at first, you can just start like that. Single notes that land on the beats. When you're ready to fill that in, you've got your other fingers. And remember, we're kind of inverting that Alberti bass idea where we've got top, bottom, middle, bottom. So if you've got the 3-note chord there, take a minute and get comfortable with that way of organizing the chord. We do it 3 times the same way, so that's beat 1, 2, and 3. Beat 4, little different. And I'm going to be talking a lot about those little connections that say, go to here, That's one of those moments where I've got stepwise notes, and in my mind, I always think, go to here, the next downbeat, so that we're building that bridge from one measure to the next. A lot of beginners have a bad habit of stopping in between measures, and we want to make sure that you're not getting used to that. We always just keep it flowing. So measure 1, 2, 3, 4, go to here. All right, now let's kind of get into measure 2 before we play through it. So when we begin measure 2, I'm landing there on finger 5, but then there's kind of a quick adjustment that's going to happen as far as fingering. Thumb is on F sharp, 2 is on B, and from there your hand falls into place. Okay, so let me repeat what I just said. Downbeat of measure 2, beat 1, finger 5 on D, right? From that point, then the rest of your hand helps to adjust into the new chord shape. F sharp, B, F sharp, and now at this point, finger 4 falls into place on D. Okay. Remember how we did just the beats a few minutes ago on measure 1? We're going to try that here. beat 1 of measure 2 is D, second beat, D, third beat. Fourth beat, we are going to play B. And in a minute, we're going to talk a lot about that B. That's where we have a little trill that I'm going to teach you. But first, let's just find those beats. Finger 5 on D, switch to 4, beat 3, and here is B. When I fill in the blanks with the rest of the chord shape, let's go slowly here. 1, beat 2, beat 3 is the same. Then there's that surprising C sharp. Did you find that? So let me start the measure. Beat 1, beat 2, beat 3, steps down to B. Check that out. Make sure you're clear on exactly what's happening there. Chord shape for 2 beats, and then sort of a stepwise in beat 3, landing us on that B. Now I said I was going to talk you through what's happening on this B. This is the coolest part of the whole riff. This is where we get to do a little trill and sort of make it your own. Whenever we have a trill, all through music history, we have a principal note, the most important part of that. In this case, it's B. I always tell students, make sure that you can play through this without any trill at all and find out which notes are really, part of that melody. In this case, B, go to here as we transition into the next measure. I could just play it like that, no trill at all. B, A, G sharp, A. But we can make it more interesting. Trill, A, G sharp, A. Again, trill, A, G sharp, A. So it adds some excitement and some interest onto that note B. B is the important note. We trill with the note above it, C sharp. On your music here, we have a 4-note trill. B, C sharp, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. And a nice way to get that to move quick, fast, and loose is to use rotation technique. And if you don't know what that means, I tell students, turn a doorknob. Pretend that you're turning a doorknob and you'll find how your forearm can rotate. That's the way to get a trill to move quickly. Otherwise, you're just pressing notes with your fingers and it won't sound as good. So rotation, doorknob, okay, and we're just going to plug that in. One more thing I can tell you is we have a 4-note trill here, but you're okay to do 3 notes or 5 notes or whatever you want to fit in there. I mean, I wouldn't play much more than that. There's not enough time. But if you want to just do 3, or if you feel like you're moving quickly and you want to add 5, just get that shake in there. For our purposes right now, let's kind of stick to 4, but if you want to branch out, go for it. Here's measure 2. We're starting with 5 on D. Beat 1, switch to 4, steps down, trill, and remember what we're saying at the end is go to here. I'll save, what comes next for another video, but transitioning to the next downbeat, of course, has to be in mind. We're not going to create a stopping point there. What I'd like to do now is just play through those first 2 measures really slowly and kind of review a few things that I just pointed out, and then I think we'll be ready to speed it up and play it in time. Measure 1, preset your hand. Place your fingers before you even start the first note. Check that you have C sharp with finger 4. Check that you have thumb on E, 2 on A. Chord shape, A major chord. If you'd like to just kind of hear that sound, that's fine, go for it. We're playing 3 beats with the same pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, steps up to here. That's the go to here, got it? And then I'm replacing my hand with a new chord shape. Beat 3, steps down, trill, then steps. And technically that's where our second measure ends, right on that G sharp. Did you notice the crossover? I should point that out for you. Thumb on A, that very last note that I just played is a crossover with finger 2 onto the G sharp. Do you see what my hand is doing right here? Up and over. I'm not trying to do that from a low point. That's really not possible. My thumb has to be tall and kind of place that crossover. Check it out, see if you're okay with that. Let's go through one more time. Place the first measure, C sharp, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Steps up to here and reset. Finger 4, good. Steps down, B trill, crossover at the end. There are several small issues through that, okay? There's chord shapes, sharps, trill at the end, stepwise motion, smoothness. Okay, you may not have it yet. Take each of those things, isolate and kind of drill for a minute. Make sure that you know which fingers, which notes. Make sure your ear is following along. Sing it out loud if you like. Start slow with this. When you're ready and you want to smooth it out, we can start to feel the beat, okay? And this is where you can even take a step back and say 1, 2, 3, 4. Find those beats and then fill in. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So we're going to do this in time now, but at a slow tempo. So slow but smooth. Keep it going. Here we go. How'd you do? Did you notice at the beginning I was sort of thinking the music before I even started playing? Placing your hand and start thinking in your mind. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, you know, and then you're able to jump into that tempo. Let's try it a little faster. I know that's a weird place to stop, but you'll see how it connects when we add on to this. Gradually work your way faster. When you get that smoothed out and flowing, you might even want to start adding damper pedal. I'll talk to you about that later. But our goal here is to make it sound like the song. Listen to some Beyoncé and see if you've got that to match. It's classical piano in a modern context.